Welcome to r/EntitledPeople, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have two great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: I got fired during my last 3 weeks because I did a great job. The second story: I work as an IT specialist. I quit when I realized that things suck. My idiot boss does not understand that 4 specialists are not able to cope with such a volume of work. The first story is the story of how I did a haircut so good it got me fired. 25 female. Was a shampoo girl at an upper crusty family-owned salon for 2 years. When I was hired, there were 7 girls ahead of me in line for training, as it's customary to train chronologically from hire date. Schedules are also made by seniority, with the girls who've been there longest getting first dibs on hours, and the people hired more recently getting the less desirable hours. Over the 2 years I was there, 2 girls were trained and became stylists. The other 5 gradually quit, leaving me as the most senior shampoo girl with 4 girls hired after me. In April, I went to the park and sprained my ankle very badly, 3 out of 5 ligaments, couldn't walk at all for 2 weeks, was out on doctor's notes for 2 months. Did a physical therapy 3 times a week, plus daily stretches, resistance bands, and balance board exercises at home. It still to this day is not 100% healed. Note: to touch a client at all in a salon in New Jersey, you need a current New Jersey cosmetology hairstyling license, which means you've been trained at some level on cutting and styling hair, among various other things. At that point, I'd been licensed for 2 years and personally doing haircuts in color for 11 years. So I went back to work in late June. Business as usual until the schedule for the following month is handed out. I'm closing every day while the other girls rotate out on vacations. I approach my team leader, we'll call her B, who is both younger than and hired after me, and tell her I was not asked at all about what hours I would like and am not satisfied, and she says she'll move some things around. She changes it so I leave at 7 instead of 8, closing, except for 1 week where I still close every day. I was still working Saturday and Monday, and a girl hired after me still got 8 to 4 Tuesday to Friday, and a 3-day weekend every week. I decided to go over B's head and end up sitting down with C, the current owner's sister. She shuts the door and says in the most sarcastic tone, "Let me guess, you want 9 to 5 and Saturdays off?" I say no and explain how the schedule is blatantly unfair. She says, "Well, you have to understand you were gone for a long time and we needed coverage." I asked what happened to scheduling by seniority, and she says they never did that. They did that for all 7 girls ahead of me. The conversation ends there. It just so happened that they had a meeting with all the shampoo girls later that day, where they went over the usual. No phone use, no talking, we weren't allowed to have drinks at the assistant station, and if ever we run out of things to do, we must stand still behind the sinks and observe the stylists. I was silent through the meeting, and I lingered afterwards to speak to B and C. The other girls leave, and C says, "Alright, let's figure this out." To which I say I figured it out, I want to put in my 2 weeks. B and C are appalled. I tell C she basically told me that I would get all the worst hours from now on because of what happened to my ankle, and I'm not satisfied with that. C says, well, she's sorry I feel that way, and they were so accommodating with my injury, but shrug. She says I need to email in a formal letter of resignation, which I did, with my last day being 3 weeks away, to cover the last girl's vacation. The next few days pass uneventfully. I tell certain coworkers I'll be leaving and why, and they're all supportive and wish me well. I go in one day with about 2 weeks left working there. About 5 hours later, I'm fired effective immediately and escorted off the premises. One of the 2 girls who became stylists while I worked there, we'll call her D, is terrified of short haircuts. She will not touch a buzzer. Her scissor over comb is honestly tragic. A couple days prior to the day of firing, I'm assisting when D's first appointment is a women's pixie undercut. D's freaking out. The client is walking in the door any minute now, and D's talking to me about telling the front desk she can't take the client. I tell her to relax and instruct her on how to do the haircut. D, visibly frustrated, says, "If you want, you can just do it. I'll pay you." I'm like, cool, let's do this. I give a killer haircut, the client is pleased, D hands me a $20 bill. I go on with my day. On to the day of the incident. It's maybe 1 p.m., and D is booked for a highlight and cut. Dun dun dun, it's a pixie cut. I'm going about my shampoo girl tasks and D is struggling. Finally, she comes over and asks me to take a look. It took everything in me not to gasp when I walked over. It looks like she did the cut with a lawnmower, chunks missing, the sides sticking out. I'm like, okay, I can fix this. I introduce myself to the client and say I'm assisting D today, and I'm gonna help her out. I grab D's shears and get to work. I tighten up the back and the sides, layer the top, wet it down, slick it back, et voila, the client loves it. She says she wants to get her highlights done by D and her cuts done by me. This is where SH takes a turn. I tell the client I'd be honored, but I'm actually leaving the business soon because they won't let me take my own clients. Client says, well, I'll put in a good word for you at the front. I walk her to reception and say goodbye, then park myself inconspicuously nearby to eavesdrop. The client, true to her word, tries to book her next cut with me. B is the one ringing her up, and B tells her I'm only a shampoo girl, and she apologizes but she cannot set up an appointment with me. They go back and forth briefly before the client agrees to schedule with another stylist. The client leaves and I strut up to B like the haircut looks great, am I right? B says yes. I, feeling more than a little cocky, chuckle and say, I'll stay if they open my book. B's face immediately hardens. She says sharply, well, we can't do that. You haven't been trained. Note, each girl is supposed to receive 12 months of daily one-on-one training with our master colorist. D, at the end of her 12 months, said she wasn't ready, and continued to spend every day for the next 10 months personally assisting the master colorist, which consisted of chatting with the MC's clients, washing them, tandem blow-drying with the MC, and sitting in the salon chairs sipping her DoorDash Starbucks and chatting with the stylists, who she drank with on the weekends. The second shampoo girl who became a stylist, E, was in her late 30s, and already was a stylist with her own book at her second job, so they shoot her through training with the MC 1 day a week, for a month, and gave her own book. Next in line would be me. Because of certain current events, the MC decided she would not train anymore, so I was given my choice of the stylist to train with. I chose F, who I was pretty close with and did great precision bobs, and G, an older stylist whose work I liked. On Monday, I was supposed to be learning from G while being the only assistant in the whole salon, which obviously did not work. Tuesdays are my day with F, where I finally got one-on-one training. This lasted about 3 weeks before the incident. Also, in case you're curious, 12 months of daily one-on-one, minus a week vacation, is 255 days. At my rate of 2 days a week, one of which was BS anyway, I would have been trained in 2.5 years. So I asked B how much more training would I need. B replies, she doesn't know. She'd have to ask the owner. B is my team leader. It's literally her job to know. So I tell her, ask the owner and get back to me. And I go back to my shampoo girl duties. Not 5 minutes later, B comes up to me and asks if we can chat. I follow her to the meeting room, thinking she's gonna let me know about the training. Turns out C is in there already. C says, tell me about what just happened with that client. I tell her D couldn't do the haircut, so I did it for her as I did a few days ago, and the client was thrilled and wanted to book with me, and I would stay if they opened my book. C is quiet for a moment, then tells me that I'm a shampoo girl. I'm not trained. I'm not supposed to be cutting clients. I'm to shampoo, sweep, wash dishes, and take out the garbage. It's her father's name and her brother's name and her name on the sign outside, not mine. They are lucky as a business to have survived certain current events, and since the director of operations quit, C has had to take on so much responsibility. And now that I'm back after 2 months, she has to deal with me involving a client in my personal business, and it's extremely unprofessional, and not how we do things here. I say, alright, I will not do it again. I will work until the date I set in my resignation letter, and then I'll be out of her hair. C lets out a theatrical sigh, head shake, eyebrow raises at B, and clicks her nails on the desk for maybe 10 seconds of awkward silence. I say I should probably get back out there. The other 2 girls are busy blow-drying each other's hair, so there's no one assisting, which was true. At this point, C says, wow, your sarcasm is just appalling. I think we should part ways today, to which I say okay. She herds me out of the room, muttering unbelievable. I'm escorted by another receptionist to my locker, collect my things, forgetting my souvenir thermos and glass lunch container that I ended up texting F to rescue for me, and I'm walked to the back door, where C hands me my license, tells me my check will be in the mail, and slams the door behind me. I met up with F for dinner to get the rest of my belongings that I couldn't grab on my way out. She said C was crying and told everyone that I disrespected her and her family, to which I just laughed. I lived off my savings over the summer. I didn't file for unemployment, because I didn't even want to fight that battle with them. I went on 2 fabulous vacations. It was great. On Monday, I'm going to sign the paperwork to start my next job, as a hairstylist, with my own book from the start. With their permission, I used E and F as my references. I passed the color, highlight, and cut practical with flying colors. They're very excited to have me. Also, of the 4 remaining shampoo girls, 2 quit in September, and 1 is moving out of state. So Miss 8 to 4 3-day weekends is going to have a great time being the only shampoo girl, when they were understaffed at 4. Suck it, C. The second story is, took me leaving after 5 years to get my previous employer to start taking things seriously. Short summary of my previous job. I work IT for a non-profit who of course uses that as an excuse to pay way below the median. I'm one of 4 on an IT team that supports 800 plus users over 30 plus buildings, and this is expanding every month. I've been there over 5 years and have been promoted over the years to a junior sysadmin role. However, because we have such few help desk staff, 2 of the 4 are designated as help desk. I still do basic help desk as 80% of my job, and even the senior sysadmin has to do support probably 25% of the time. I can see things getting worse, so I started to casually look for a new job. After only a couple of weeks, I found a job and was offered a position for basic help desk, which is fine since that's mostly what I do anyways. But for a 25% pay increase, hourly classification instead of salaried exempt, a nice matching 401k, and 4-day work from home indefinitely. I handed my resignation to the IT director, to which she was surprised as I never mentioned I was ever thinking of leaving. Later that day, my senior sysadmin texts me basically telling me the director is freaking out and not sure how they'll replace me, and she's also worrying about losing him now too. I'm approaching my final days here, and I've really seen things unfold from the meetings the director has had with the senior sysadmin. They originally would start the basic help desk employees at around 26k, and didn't want to budge on that because they believe any kid who lives in their mom's basement can do IT. It took us years to finally hire a second help desk person, about 2 years ago, and anytime we brought up the fact that 4 IT staff for that many users, systems and locations is not normal, they would brush it off. When I resigned, I told them a bit about where I was going, and the environment, and they finally go, if that's the real expectation of IT support staff to users, maybe we can look at hiring more staff in the future. We've been saying that for years. For my replacement, they wanted to say the job needed 3+ years experience and a bachelor's, but not pay over 40k, because that's what I made upon leaving, and they can't dream of paying someone brand new more money. After a few meetings with my boss and realizing that losing my knowledge I had of the specialized systems and back-end stuff there, they went from we need to change his job posting to requiring a BA, and we don't want to pay more than 40k, to now they bumped the lowest help desk people 5k starting, are adding 2 more help desk positions, and seem to be paying my old position over 40k, which is still vastly underpaid. They're also going to offer my old boss more money because they're scared to lose him. My boss is pretty upset because he relied on me for a lot of the day-to-day operations, and they wouldn't believe us for years when we said that a team of 4 IT staff to support as many users and buildings as we did is not sustainable. Instead of offering me more money or wanting to offer me any sort of WFH indefinitely, which they won't because it's not part of our company's culture, they're going to find someone new, because they won't come up with my new job offer, and they can get someone brand new for less. They even offered my boss the ability to contract out some IT work, if the department is really that overburdened with some projects. Always fun to hear the employer is willing to pay a contractor money to do a job, instead of increasing their current staff's salary or add on to the team. He's thinking of leaving within the next year, as well, at which point the company will be completely screwed, since no one knows the back end besides himself and myself. Why does it take a valuable employee leaving to finally realize and listen that the department is understaffed and underpaid? Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and have a nice day.